72-hour break, and we're back. We're refreshed, better than ever. It is the RCWR Show, Tuesday night edition. Hook you all up with that wrestling report, as always. I am, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Do hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Here we are. July is pretty much in the books. It is the last day on July 31st, 2012. Hard to believe, but this calendar year, we're almost done. This has been a very fast year. I am just mind-boggled. It seems like it was only 2 months ago. It was January. I don't know how that might be for some of you all, but it just seems like this year has been going by pretty fast. Thank those of you that's checking out tonight's episode live right now on Blog Talk Radio and over at our sister website at InfinityOneProductions.com. We got the chat room that's open. It's active right now. Feel free to jump on in there as it's up on Blog Talk Radio. You know, of course, you can always send us your wrestling questions, comments to us over on Twitter. We love hearing from you guys on Twitter at InfinityOneProd, and we're up on Facebook. Our Facebook page has been getting quite a few hits as of late for the past several days. Special shout-out to those of you that have been checking out our Facebook page. Hit us up. We're on Infinity One Productions. So, we're going to be opening up our fan line in the later part of the show, as always. So, do listen out for when I give out that phone number, and feel free to call on in and share your thoughts of any of the number of topics we're going to be covering on tonight's show. So, we're going to be covering the fallout from this past Monday night's Raw. Definitely a very strong 1001 episode, but it could not come with a little bit of controversy caused by two guys, CM Punk and John Cena, as it seems that the anti-John Cena fans have something more to complain about this week. We'll definitely be tackling that in just a little bit, and also get you all caught up on the very latest in wrestling-related news. You know, before we jump into things, we definitely want to take this time out to thank you, the listeners. That's right, you, our loyal listeners, whether you check it out live, the episodes of the RCWR Show, Impact Showdown, whether you happen to download them on iTunes, Zune, or Stitcher, we have to thank you, the listeners, because you made the month of July for our episodes of the RCWR Show, Impact Showdown. You made the entire month for us a phenomenal one, as we've only been doing this for about 6 months now, and July saw our biggest gain yet. We really appreciate that love right there. And as a special treat, what we're going to be doing from here on out, we had tried a little bit of an experiment, and it seemed to have gone extremely well this past weekend. We're going to start doing more weekend editions of the RCWR Show. We have received great feedback letting us know how a lot of people, they appreciated that mix of entertainment news along with wrestling news. They really liked it. They thought it was fresh. So we're definitely going to be giving you more of those. So definitely stay plugged in to us through Twitter, Facebook, as we'll definitely be letting you know when you can expect more of those weekend specials. While you're at it, feel free to also follow us on Blog Talk Radio. That's right. All you got to do, hit that follow button, and you'll be able to set yourself up so that you'll always be able to get the alerts and know when we're going to be doing another show and what it's going to be covering. That way you'll always be in the know. But very special thank you to those of you, you know, hey, it just goes to show that when you really bring it, you try to do your best to bring that A game each week, have the people coming back for more. Hard work, dedication, it does pay off in the end. So thank you, the listeners. We really appreciate the love right there. So before we go into Raw's results, one question that keeps getting asked, and it was actually asked among my staff this weekend, And it had got to the point where one of my guys, and it was Zed, poor Zed, he is just doing his thing on Twitter. He's posting up whatever we put on our website, whatever I do on YouTube. He's just sending out the links, and he's really having a hand in interacting with you all. I hop on there from time to time, but nowadays my workload is getting a little bit hectic. I kind of scaled back a little bit on the Twitter. But one question that was asked of him, or I'm not sure who asked the question, but it is a question that's been popping up as of late, which is, Lee, when are you going to get a co-host? Lee, is there any way I could possibly be your co-host? Well, there's a simple question to that, and I just thought I would just knock all that out right now before we go into the show, because it's a topic that seems to keep coming up every single week, it seems. So I just want to kind of nip it in the bud, one-time deal only, never bring it up again. So, listeners, just enlighten me for a little bit. Besides, you all have probably been wondering that too. When is this guy going to get a sidekick? He could probably use one. Well, I'm Batman right now, and Batman at this point doesn't really like having a sidekick. Now, for those of you that have been our loyal listeners from the very beginning, you all know, and it is it's after 11 o'clock now. Okay, it's p.m. Okay, I can curse now. The little kids are asleep. You all know when this show first started, I was shit. I mean, I could not sell a cup of water worth a damn. I mean, it was just very brutal was the show. I just got to be honest with you. And for anybody that doesn't believe me, go check out the first 5 episodes of the RCWR show. There's a reason why they are in the archive section. Never forget. That's my motto. So the show started off very bad, and, I just had to keep getting hard on myself and learning how to get better on my own. And along the way, I had Zed, I had Tammy, I had my girlfriend, and I had anybody else that was willing to sit down and put in the 2 cents to give me their opinion on what was working, what wasn't working. Now, I'm not sitting up saying that I'm 100% right now. There are some episodes where I feel I did but then there's some episodes where I feel, it could have been better, or, hey, I hit a home run. The point I'm making is I dare not say I'm 100% all the way good, but I'm getting there. And it's through the love of you guys and the feedback that y'all give me that I know what's working, what's not working, so I'm fine-tuning. The one time we had a co-host on this show, now for those of you that have been listening that long, pat yourself on the back, all right? You know the co-host that we had on here, and this guy sat up week after week bashing a particular product. And this was not good for us because we had a responsibility to sponsors that were not affiliated with this brand that he kept bashing. And at the same time, he was alienating our listeners. Now, there's a way you can sit up and, for example, you don't like what happened with last week's TNA. Constructive criticism is fine, nothing wrong. But when you sit up for almost a half hour saying, oh, it was shit, this was shit, this wrestler was shit, this storyline was shit, shit. I apologize for those of you, but hey, it's late at night now. We can just jump out there. I'm just being totally real with you guys for once because, it's very rare I just lift the PG grammar. It's very rare I use profanity, so just endure me. And it got to the point where our listeners were sitting up saying, okay, well, why tune into this show if all this guy is going to do is bash the product every single week? And that had hurt us big time. Now, this guy realized at the very last minute, oh, man, so much work goes into doing a wrestling radio show. I just can't do it. And he tapped out. And it was very unfortunate because he had a very great mind. He understood the wrestling business. He had been a WCW fan since, I believe, 1991. So he went way back as far as his wrestling. But once he saw the amount of dedication that really went into it, he decided he wasn't going to do it anymore. And unfortunately, that's made guys after him have a tougher job of coming up to me and saying, hey, Lee, what I got to do to be your co-host? If you want my best advice, I would just say, you know, at this point, if I were to pursue a co-host, and I am, I'm looking for a co-host that actually happens to live in my area. And the reason for that, we're going to be taking the RCWR show on the road very soon. Really try to push that interactive envelope. Wherever there's going to be a wrestling event, we want to try to be there, give you guys the opportunity to see us live in person. Hell, we can interview you on the spot. We can get you on the show, you know, kick back, have some drinks, whatever. Be a real cool, awesome time. But it's coming up to that point now where we're very interested in taking the show on the road. And when I say we, me, Zed, co-producer Tammy, we're ready to hit the road. We damn sure are going to be hitting the road when we get ready to cover the WrestleMania 29 pay-per-view, because we will be in New Jersey next year covering that pay-per-view. So at this point, one of the main things I'm looking for a co-host is somebody that actually lives in my area. So special little shout-out to those of you in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. The other question that keeps popping up, apparently, is, you know, what do I have to do to be a radio host? Now, I'm not going to sit up and I'm not going to give you a play-by-play book for 35 minutes because, after all, our core audience, that's not what they're tuning in for. They're tuning into this episode to hear about wrestling, all that. But since it's a wrestling-related question, this is how I'm going to answer that question. Best advice I can give. Number one, if you have a girlfriend or you have a wife, you make sure that you have her blessings before you go into this type of field, because it can be very stressful. You can get into a position where you will argue with your loved one. Now, I know some of you guys that are probably listening, you're probably saying, nah, that ain't going to be me and my girl. You would be surprised. Now, I'm 31 years old, going on 32, and I'm getting to that point right now where, you know, I'm happy with the relationship that I'm in. Me and my girl, we're actually going to get married, and I'm thinking about kids. And, you know, for me, when I decided to do the RCWR show, Impact Showdown, you know, I thought it'd be really cool to jump out there, get my voice heard. But at the same time, I felt that I brought a lot to the table, because I felt that with all the years that I have as a writer, the experience that I had as a booker, covering a few wrestling mom-and-pop promotions, I say, you know what, this would be a perfect fit for me. A lot of people are under the impression that all you have to do a wrestling radio show is get in front of a microphone and just talk about wrestling for 3-4 hours. You would think that's it, right? No. Let's clear that myth up right now. That's not what it's about, folks. You know, a lot of time, a lot of preparation, you know, fine-tuning goes into making sure that you're on point when you get on the air. You have to sound energetic. You have to sound passionate about what it is that you're talking about, because you're delivering information to people's ears. And if you don't sound like you are into what it is that you're trying to sell, guess what? Those people are going to tune you out. So just picture, if you will, you're trying to sell somebody a bottle of water, and your approach to them is, would you like to buy this bottle of water? They're probably going to look at you like you're freaking crazy and walk the hell off. Now, if you come up to them and say, it's pretty hot out there, you want a bottle of water? $1, come on. You know you need it. You're thirsty. I can tell. You're sweating. You're being more charismatic, more energetic. That person will probably engage you a little bit more. You know, so a lot of work has to go into it. True story, right before I had got the last guy that was my co-host, I had actually put out a job posting for a radio co-host. And true story, one of the people that had applied, I said, give me your classifications for the reason why you feel you should be a radio co-host. What do you have? Where's your resume?
And the guy said as follows, and you can't make this crap up. Well, I'm kind of not attractive. I'm not really attractive, but I have a voice, and I could pretty much talk about anything. I need to be on radio. Now, that's basically sitting up saying, okay, you come to a job fair at a Burger King, and you say, you say to the person that's interviewing you who asks, why do you want to work at Burger King? And you say, well, I need a job. I like burgers. What the hell do you think is going to happen, folks? They're probably going to sit up, and they're probably going to say to you, well, we'll call you. We'll let you know if anything comes up. So it's not as easy as it sounds. It really isn't. I just really thought I would just address that because it seems like it's a topic that just keeps popping up week after week. And I just thought I'd really shed some light because, unfortunately, you know what? It's not one of those type of deals. It's not one of those type of stories that you hear. You don't really hear too many people that will actually take that time and address it. So I really hope that kind of sheds some light for you guys. So those of you that are thinking about going into that type of business, if you have a girlfriend, if you have a wife, you make sure you really sit down with them and really kind of give them an idea of what it is they can expect if you're going to be going into this line of work because, you have to try to figure out a balance. And unfortunately, it's not like I'm 10 years older, I'm trying to settle down now. So, for me, it can be really tricky at times, and furthermore, I don't really like talking about us that much because, but just to give you guys an idea of how serious we are about making sure that we bring you the type of wrestling content that you guys can expect each and every week on our radio shows and up on our website, myself, co-producer Tammy, my girlfriend Zed, we have forked up at least in the thousands of dollars for a nonprofit website, for a radio show. We really aren't seeing a dime. The little profit that we do get, it's not much. So, we're really doing it, for you, the wrestling audience. You really got to be serious about your craft. You can't just sit up and I'm going to do a show and I'm just going to talk about random. It doesn't work that way. At least for a lot of us that really take it seriously, and trying to make a successful business out of it. And I think great examples of that. And these are guys that I actually admire. They may come a little bit. They may be a little bit controversial for some of you all, but, I respect the hell out of Don Tony, Kevin Castle. I think they do a phenomenal job with what they've been doing for over the past 10 years. I think Damian Nelson, David Hero of the PWR show, I think they do a phenomenal job with what they do. For me, the way I look at them, they are the Johnny Carson and Jay Leno of wrestling talk radio, and I am just Jimmy Fallon, just quietly trying to just do my thing. At least I got the Roots playing in the background. So on that note, let's go ahead and let's talk about what had went down with the latest installment of WWE Raw, where it was episode 1001 that had came to us from the U.S. Banks Arena. And, man, this show was on fire. No, seriously, this show was on fire. The roof wasn't on fire, but this show was on fire as we would learn that apparently their Titantron had somehow caught on fire. Now, WWE, they would release an official statement speaking about this, and it would say, and I quote, "A fire at the U.S. Bank Arena has broken out Monday at Monday Night Raw after the set was caught on fire during preparations for tonight's show. No superstars or WWE executives were hurt in the incident, and the show will go on as continued." Now, people ended up being held for, I believe, over a half hour, and it was just really ridiculous. Some people, they thought that maybe this was a fake incident that WWE, they were just trying to spark up some type of hype or whatever. Well, we actually had the liberty of interacting with a few people that were actually at the event, and they showed us pictures and everything, and they were like, no, this is really legit. We really were told to evacuate, and, props to WWE, though, because they really handled the whole evacuation process and everything. The security staff, everybody, they just did a phenomenal job. Nothing really, freakish had happened, luckily, because normally you would think maybe there would be some type of panic, especially after the crazy week that Colorado had when it came to that crazy gunman, really crazy stuff right there. Very cool that nobody had got injured in this. Now, from there, folks, we would, of course, see one of several highlights during this episode where we saw the former voice of the voiceless, apparently, the WWE champion, CM Punk, come out, and he addresses the events that took place on the 1000th episode of Raw last week, where he basically said how everybody lives to have a WrestleMania moment. Well, CM Punk had a Raw moment last week as he recalls how he did what he did to The Rock. And you want to talk about a really great promo that CM Punk had cut last night, as CM Punk would turn his attention to commentator Jerry Lawler and question the choice words that Jerry Lawler had to say at the end of Raw that left a bitter taste in the WWE champion's mouth, as Lawler said CM Punk has turned his back on the WWE. Well, we would casually see CM Punk take his WWE title, prop it on the commentator's table, sit on top of the table, and he just has that Indian-style pose going on as he's just looking dead at Jerry Lawler, and he just let Jerry Lawler have it. I mean, he pretty much was addressing several key points that a lot of WWE fans have been saying about Jerry Lawler for quite some time, which is Lawler's commentating. Let's be honest, it pretty much sucks. It's nowhere near the Jerry Lawler that we saw that was paired up with Vince McMahon back in the day. I don't know what happened, but it seems like whoever that Jerry Lawler was that was working with Vince, this Jerry Lawler just seems beyond PG. I mean, he just seems creepy, not funny. He just really serves no purpose. And it's really sad when you think about it, because as much as we don't like Michael Cole, at least Michael Cole tries to put on a hell of a job commentating, even though really he's not even calling moves or whatever is happening in the ring. It seems like a lot of times Michael Cole has to do a lot of the work between him and Jerry on Raw. So CM Punk, he really let Jerry Lawler have it last night, but he would also turn his attention to The Rock, and he pretty much recalled how he felt disrespected by the People's Champion who showed up, talked about this Royal Rumble match that he's going to be having in 6 months for WWE Championship, as he is talking to Daniel Bryan, not once acknowledging CM Punk. But then by the time Rock does acknowledge CM Punk, he's basically lowering himself and basically is looking past CM Punk, as he feels he's going to be able to take that belt off of Punk's hands if he is the one that's going to be the WWE champion at that time. And as far as CM Punk was concerned, this basically was a dumb move on The Rock's part, because he did not show any type of respect to the WWE champion. And this would really hit the nerve of CM Punk, who feels that for a while now he has not been given the respect that he deserves as the WWE champion, as he would point out that The Rock is nothing more than an egotistical Hollywood maniac that is just one man one man, folks. And he would also point out that it's not a popularity contest or ballet, that it's the WWE. Really heated words right here from CM Punk, who would also add that this is about him being given that spotlight as the WWE champion, the one that basically should be main eventing. You know, really strong promo here, but it could have been delivered a little better. I know a lot of people were kind of thinking of, oh, CM Punk, he kind of had another pipe bomb moment. Wasn't exactly a pipe bomb. If it was really a pipe bomb, I think that a lot more controversial things would have been said. It was a little bit filtered. You could definitely tell that it seemed as if Punk was holding back a little bit as far as being on the creative side of the microphone, but it still served its purpose nonetheless. A lot of key points were made, as we would soon see Big Show come out, and he pretty much lets Punk know that he would only be holding on to his WWE Championship right now if it wasn't for him getting involved in that match last week, and that despite giving Cena the WMD, Punk still was not able to get the job done, and in fact was possibly going to tap out to Cena's STFU if Big Show did not get in there and break up the hold. Well, big words right here from the 7'2", 500-pound giant, as CM Punk would rebuttal, say, hey, you didn't beat John Cena at the No Way Out pay-per-view, and you didn't get the job done at Money in the Bank. Only person that's been winning as of late has been me. We would then see an appearance by John Cena, who just went right for Big Show and attacked him, as we would see the lovely new general manager, AJ Lee, come out and reveal that we're going to be seeing a main event for later tonight, as Big Show would be taking on John Cena, where the winner would be able to face the WWE Champion CM Punk at SummerSlam in just a little shy of 3 weeks. AJ Lee coming out to the I'm all grown up looking Stephanie McMahon outfit. I'm a little bit puzzled by what is happening here. For weeks now, we had WWE fans, whether it was guys in their early teens, 40-year-olds plus, we had a lot of guys that were really loving what was going on with AJ. AJ, she seemed to have this great connection with the crowd because of her looks and her choice of attire, and she just really made a really cool connection there, and now it just seems like they're doing the reverse. I'm not quite sure I understand what's happening with WWE right now, as what happened to the crazy chick? What happened to the chick that was going around that was confused about whether or not she wanted Kane, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk? You're telling me now that Vince McMahon has offered her a GM job, all of a sudden she's sane, all of a sudden she's conservative? What all we've been seeing for, what, folks, the past 3, maybe 4 months was nothing but a dream? It's kind of a silly way to basically bury what was working for AJ. I would hope that there is something more to this, that maybe, just maybe, her role as the Raw GM is just going to be temporary as they try to find themselves a little bit more time to possibly bring in who they want to be the regular Raw GM. At least that's what I hope. If they're not looking for a permanent Raw GM, then something really needs to happen with AJ right here, because this new incarnation, I'm sorry, it just isn't working. If I want to see a cute brunette wearing a business suit, I think we all should get on Twitter, we should get on Tout, we should get on Facebook, and we should demand that Stephanie McMahon comes back and becomes the new Raw GM, I feel. And from there, folks, we would see not one, not two, not three, but at least, as far as I was able to count, because I wrote a review on it, 4 plugs of the Triple H Brock Lesnar encounter that's transpired on Raw 1000, as this is going to be our main event for SummerSlam, as these two are going to be getting it on. You know, they are just really overselling the hell out of this match, and they are just living off of what these two men have done within recent weeks. You know, I don't know, man. I just think this might be just a little bit overkill. I would buy into this match more if I didn't see Brock Lesnar get buried last week by Triple H. I mean, you know, I know Triple H, he has to look dominant. He has to get in his licks leading up into the pay-per-view, and just the way that this is being handled right now, it's like what I said a couple of months ago. It is really looking as if the way they are doing Brock Lesnar, it is basically past the bottle. They are just passing it around. Everybody is getting in their sip right before they throw that bottle in the trash can. And it is just really looking to me like Brock Lesnar is definitely going to get buried at SummerSlam. And I pray that I am wrong, because I love it when I'm wrong. Expect the unexpected. I love when we get the curveballs. I don't mind being wrong, but it's just really looking like right now the writing on the wall is that Triple H is going to go over on Brock Lesnar. You know, only thing I have to say to that is at least try to make Brock Lesnar look a little dominant leading up into the pay-per-view. That is not how it should have went down. I think, if anything, you want to talk about a great Raw 1000 moment, they should have left Brock Lesnar backstage, and what actually should have ended up happening was maybe we should have seen a appearance of Brock Lesnar in a backstage area as his face pops up on the Titantron to get Triple H's attention. And we see Brock Lesnar, he has Vince McMahon by the neck, and he is standing somewhere kind of high above some type of concrete-like structure, and he has Vince McMahon, and he just picks him up, and he just gives Vince a F5 that sends Vince crashing to some hard concrete pavement or something like that. I just think that would have been kind of cool to see, or maybe give him a F5 on some steps, kind of similar to what had went down between Wade Barrett and Randy Orton a couple of weeks back, where we saw Randy Orton had went out on injury. If y'all recall, hope y'all got a good memory. You recall what had happened right there, because it was on an episode of SmackDown, as the two of them had a Falls Count Anywhere match or a street fight match. I'm not really sure what it was, but they could have did something similar like that to really build up Triple H being very pissed off and just waiting, just dying to get his hands on Brock Lesnar. But regardless, this is our main event match that's going to be coming up, and so far it's one of potentially 3 main events that we're going to be seeing at SummerSlam. As from there, folks, of course, we see Alberto Del Rio in action, who kind of gave a little bit of a preview into what's possibly going to be happening at SummerSlam, as he would defeat Santino, but say that he's not going to be competing anymore until SummerSlam, when he has his match for the World Heavyweight title. And as one of our followers had pointed out, Sheamus versus Del Rio at SummerSlam hasn't even been announced yet. What's going on here? Did Alberto just slip? Valid point. In either case, this is how it's going to be looking, though. It does look as if we're going to see Alberto Del Rio, whether some of us like it or not, we're going to see Alberto Del Rio take on Sheamus one more time. Now, with regards to that match, this is the only thing I have to say. Let's make it interesting this time around. Now, I think this time around, if you want to keep the fans into it, you have to put it in a gimmick match. You got to make it a gimmick. You can't just do another one-on-one contest similar to what they did at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. You gotta up the ante. I think at this point, it's been a while since we've seen a steel cage match. I think now would probably be a good time to maybe bust that out, and let's see what they might be able to do with that. Because honestly, if you are going to even remotely try to sit up and have Sheamus take on Alberto Del Rio in another one-on-one contest, the fans aren't really going to be invested into that. Now, no disrespect to Sheamus, and I actually defended Sheamus last night because we had a couple of hardcore wrestling marks that sat up and said, well, Sheamus is only as good as the person that he's wrestling with, so, he's really not all that. I beg to differ. Now, I can appreciate that argument. It's a valid argument. But you compare how Sheamus was when he first came into the WWE, you compare all his matches to what he has been doing this year. Sheamus has, without a doubt, improved his game dramatically. And I think the way Sheamus has been handling himself right now, he has been a quiet champion. Just think about it. The guy has been going in week after week, quietly defending his title, having great matches. I mean, man, the month of July is now in the books, and so far he's had 2 5-star quality type of matches, one on SmackDown, and then what we just saw last night as he was in action against Daniel Bryan, and we'll get to that match in a little bit, but, the guy has just been on a roll, and he has just improved his game big time, and he, the thing I like about Sheamus, and it speaks large volumes in my mind, Sheamus doesn't need a AJ, a CM Punk, a Kane, a Big Show. He doesn't need any of that. All he needs is, okay, who's he working with? And it just seems like Sheamus just does the rest. That speaks large volumes for a man that's just quietly going out there and just doing the damn thing. Doesn't mind risking his body, as many times we've seen Sheamus come back from a match with welts and marks. Just recently we saw him have 2 black things under his eyes. I mean, he doesn't mind getting his hands really dirty just to make a point, just to try to really sell that believability that he is a defending champion, a man's man that's willing to fight the good fight as an Irishman. So really like how Sheamus has been coming off, and on Raw it was no exception, as throughout the night we would see Daniel Bryan try to work up the nerve to knock on General Manager AJ Lee's door. And when he finally did decide to go in there, she would let bygones be bygones, while also pointing out how it seemed like Bryan just wanted to do nothing more than marry her just to have her be committed. Well, she said, hey, it's all good. Tell you what, it's all right. You're going to be in a match tonight. You're going to have a match against Sheamus. So, which brings us to their match. And I'm sure this probably irritated the hell out of a lot of you guys that had watched the episode Monday night, which was WWE, they insulted your intellect. Now, if you are the age of 11 and younger, they probably put one way over your head. But for those of us that are 13 years old and up, and in my case, I'm way up, WWE insulted the overall WWE Universe's intelligence by sitting up and letting you decide the match type that Sheamus was going to be having with Daniel Bryan. They actually tried to give you the illusion. They tried to give you the mirage that you actually had a choice. And what was your choice, folks? Your choice was, would you like to see them in a street fight? Would you like to see them in a Falls Count Anywhere match? Or would you like to see them in a no-holds-barred match? Now, as me and Zed are kicking back and we're watching Raw, we both look at each other and we say the same damn thing. What the fuck is the difference? It's the same match style. That's basically like being in a restaurant, folks, and you're ordering a very juicy, flame-broiled burger at some really nice restaurant, and the burger costs $12 alone. If you want French fries, that's going to be like $7. And the waiter says to you, and for your ketchup, sir, would you like it red, green, or yellow? And you're looking at the waiter and you're saying to yourself, what the hell is the difference? Ketchup is ketchup. Just bring me the damn ketchup. So really kind of poor right here that WWE tried to give the fans the illusion that they had a choice, because there really was no choice, as it was the same type of match. Don't believe me? Google is your best friend. Look it up on Wikipedia, and you will see for yourself that there is no difference between the three matches. It is all practically the same thing. What should have went down was your picks should have been tables match, chairs match, street fight. You know, they should have did something like that rather than insult the wrestling fans' intellect. But nonetheless, fantastic match between Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. I mean, they locked it up quite a few times, but I must admit, as I was seeing these guys get it on Monday night, I mean, I was just amazed at the quality of this match as these two guys are just throwing it down against each other. It was one of those type of matches that, looking back on it now, and this is how good it was, I actually watched that match twice. Not back to back, but I watched that match twice, and I just really came away from that match saying, damn, WWE, they really let one go for free, because this was a pay-per-view quality type of match, and it would actually be one of two paper quality type matches we would see for that night. But once again, Sheamus really making his mark. Daniel Bryan, despite not having a belt around his waist right now, just the way that he has been utilized as of late, the man has just been on a roll. And it brought up a very interesting question, which is, will Daniel Bryan ever hold the WWE title or the World Heavyweight title again and for a longer reign? Now, we unfortunately had some people sit up and say, no, he's not going to get another shot. You know, if he does get a belt, it's probably going to be the U.S. title. That's it. He's done. He's just going to be a mid-card guy. You know, I can appreciate that argument, honestly, and this is the way I'm looking at it right now. Whether we like it or not, Alberto Del Rio is going to get another title run. The only question is when. Now, as I said on the last Call That Match special, it wouldn't surprise me if Del Rio took the belt off of Sheamus. But then again, the way Sheamus has been rolling as of late, he might blaze through Del Rio. Now, we know Del Rio, he has that reputation of being a crybaby. Whenever he doesn't get his way, he always crying foul. He always threatening to take his ball and go back to Mexico, where he feels he'll be treated with the respect that he deserves, which is fine and dandy. But the way I see things playing out right now, I see Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk, John Cena, The Rock, all having a crack at those two respected belts going into the remaining of this year and slightly into the beginning of this year before Daniel Bryan has his shot. And let me also throw in there Dolph Ziggler. We can't forget about him. It's just a matter of time before he cashes in that Money in the Bank briefcase. But I unfortunately feel that after all of those guys get their share, then Daniel Bryan will be put back into the picture. The only way Daniel Bryan could be elevated quicker is if one of those guys goes out on injury. And the way these guys have been operating as of late, I just don't see that happening anytime soon, folks. So just remember, you heard it here first as far as when Daniel Bryan could possibly get the championship belt around his waist again. But in the meantime, he's just been doing a phenomenal job, you know, even despite the fact that he may be losing some of the matches that he participates in. It speaks large volumes when you compare it to the current run of Chris Jericho, who now seems to have sparked a little bit of that old Y2J that we've come to know and love, as we had saw him in a tag match with Christian, as they had took on the team of Dolph Ziggler and The Miz. Miz continues to look impressive right here, as we would see CNC. How about that? CNC reuniting after what? Seems like it's been almost 10 years. They look like they hadn't missed a beat as they had defeated Miz and Dolph Ziggler. But post-match, Dolph Ziggler letting Chris Jericho know he did not forget about Jericho's attack on him on last Friday night's SmackDown, hit him with that Money in the Bank briefcase, and just left him lying there. Very curious to see how this is going to continue to play out, as they have about 3 weeks left of great storytelling to really drive their match home at SummerSlam. You know it's going to happen, and I just can't wait to hear that official announcement. Of course, we saw Titus O'Neil defeat Kofi Kingston. Now, we got to definitely talk about this, because this created quite a lot of buzz, as we saw AW, Abraham Washington, who is the manager of Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, the prime time players. He sat up and said some very controversial words as O'Neil was throwing it down in his match. And he would reference Kobe Bryant. Now, this is what he said, and I quote, and this is a direct quote, okay? Titus O'Neil is like Kobe Bryant at a Colorado hotel. He's unstoppable. Now, when you sit up and you hear that line, you say to yourself, probably, what the hell is he talking about? But for those of us that are hardcore basketball fans, and when I say hardcore, basically scale of 1 to 10, 1, 10, oh yeah, we're probably like about a 8 to a 9.5, you know. 10, you know statistics and all that. So if you know that, props to you. That's not the point. The point is, us hardcore basketball fans, we would probably know exactly what AW is talking about. But then you have those other guys, well, what the hell is he talking about? What the hell does Kobe have to do with Colorado? What are you talking about? Several years back, Kobe Bryant had made news headlines when he was supposed to be recuperating from an injury. He was out in Colorado, and he was at this hotel, and you would think that while he's recuperating, he would have had his wife and his child with him, right? No. He's there. He happens to cross paths with this female that is part of the staff at this hotel. This girl, she realizes that, oh, snap, it's Kobe Bryant. So Kobe Bryant invites her in and everything, and when the deal is done, he did the deed with her. Now, she ended up crying rape, and we had this trial that was about to get dragged out when, you know, it would be revealed during the course that she actually had sex with more than one guy before Kobe Bryant, and somehow it was revealed that basically she was just playing a game. She was just trying to get an opportunity to get a payday off of Kobe Bryant. So there's your little backstory right there as far as why AEW said it. Honestly, just the fact that all this was happening, tough words right here, man. But you know what? You just had the tragic events take place with the Batman shooting in Colorado. Then you had that nut job out in Annapolis, Maryland, that had threatened to blow his boss's brains out and shoot his staff employees, referencing the Joker. This really was not the week to sit up and mention anything about Colorado, and we're already hearing buzz that AEW, he may be suspended. We're also hearing word that it's possible that the primetime players, their push might get held back a little bit thanks to AEW. Honestly, at this point, given the fact that they are in this whole PG era right now, if, WWE is smart and they want to make sure that they don't have any type of problems down the road from here on out, and Kobe, he probably doesn't even know what the heck was said to him. I'd be shocked if word gets back to him. If it does, he probably isn't really going to make that much of a big deal about it. He's probably actually going to take a knock at the WWE and say, hey, what they do is real sport. What him and the Lakers and the NBA, what they do is real sports. NBA, WWE, they can suck it, basically. But if WWE is smart, they should really sit up and they should really pull AEW to the side and make sure they let him have it, because that's the last thing that they need right there, especially if it's going to end up putting a halt to the primetime players' push. They continue to be impressive every single week. Great one-on-one match that he had with Kofi Kingston, Titus O'Neil, but that AEW there, choice words right there, very controversial. Definitely got to play it safe right there. Man, kind of reminded me shades of Muhammad Hassan there almost. It was almost pushing that risque envelope right there. And, of course, folks, we definitely got to let you guys know about Heath Slater, who sent out a challenge to any current WWE superstar in the back to face him one-on-one. Well, be careful what you ask for, Slater, as we saw the return of the Viper himself, pushing a mohawk. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. Randy Orton, who made his return. He looks better than ever. Randy Orton, of course, he is returning from a 60-day suspension for violating the WWE wellness program policy. He's looking better than ever. He looks to be pretty not well-defined as last we saw him, but he still looks pretty good. Nonetheless, hitting those trademark moves, that power slam, punching those fists into the ground, delivering that devastating RKO. Randy Orton, glad that he's back. SmackDown definitely could use the help right now, so definitely can't wait to see what they have in store for the Viper. Maybe we can see a little bit of a new twist in his demeanor since he's pushing this new haircut. One can only hope, because the past few years now we've been getting the same Randy Orton. Be really nice to kind of see him finally shake things up a little bit there, folks. Let's talk about that main event match where we saw John Cena take on Big Show, and we would have the WWE Champion CM Punk make an appearance as, man, it was really nice seeing him get back on the commentating booth. I could remember the days where he would wear his poor wool blazers, and he just has his cool little superhero T-shirt on up under it as he was just commentating all this going on while he was injured. Really nice to see him back out there on this night. As let's pick it up towards the end of the match, because really this match was pretty much a snoozer. John Cena, Big Show wasn't really that entertaining. Let's pick it up where it got down to pretty much the last 3 minutes, as we would see John Cena, Big Show They took their fight outside the ring. It goes over to the commentator's table, and we see Big Show, who's trying to quickly recover as John Cena is charging at him. Well, Big Show would use John Cena's momentum and send him crashing into the WWE champion, who's just sitting down watching everything go on. His arm is hurt tremendously. It left some questioning whether or not CM Punk was legitimately injured, as we would see the referee begin to count, and we would see Big Show get back in the ring. John Cena, he's down, he's on the ground. It looks like John Cena could possibly not be able to get back in the ring in time, but just at the count of 9, with the last little bit of energy Cena had in him, we see him get back in the ring. I mean, he just literally threw himself in the ring. That's it. He's out, as he's just laying there in the ring, just out of energy, but he got back in there in time. Big Show, he's looking for it. He's going for the WMD, waiting for John Cena to get up. Staggering John Cena, he finally gets up. Big Show is about to hit him with that devastating punch when John Cena counters, and he picks up Big Show and is looking for that attitude adjustment when CM Punk, how they took the eyes off of the champion, who's already been feeling a bit disrespected, as it is within recent weeks, would come in the ring, attack John Cena, and then give one strong, stiff kick to Big Show to knock him out temporarily, to have the match end in a no contest. From there, we would see the WWE champion grab a microphone and say, "Your winners of this match, no one. They both are losers," as we see CM Punk walk out, cross paths with AJ, who reveals that no, they aren't losers, they are winners, as CM Punk will be defending his WWE title at SummerSlam against Big Show and John Cena in a triple threat match to end this episode of Raw. And now we must tackle what all had went down between our favorite anti-John Cena fans, as they really let John Cena have it after they saw the events that transpired on last night's Raw. You want to talk about hardcore right here? We have one fan reaction, and you can't make this stuff up. This one fan had the following to say about seeing John Cena back in the spotlight, and I quote, "John Cena is a disgrace to pro wrestling. I wish he would just go away because, in all honesty, he brings the show down with his lame-ass promos and shitty gimmick. I just hope that Cena doesn't win the WWE title again. Hopefully Punk gets to keep the title for months and months to come." Then that sentiment right there is what a lot of wrestling fans felt as they saw John Cena be named as one of the contenders to face Punk at SummerSlam. But I think they're missing the big picture here, folks. And I strongly believe that the way this is going to be playing out, I strongly believe that Punk is going to retain his title. I am very adamant. I strongly feel that in no way is Punk going to lose that title anytime soon, at least not for the remainder of this year. That's just the vibe that I'm getting. I think right now this twist in his demeanor is probably one of the last things that WWE is trying to do to see if he can create that buzz that he had last year. They are really trying to work with CM Punk. And yes, we know CM Punk, he has that hardcore fan base, but at the same time, unfortunately, CM Punk isn't quite getting the job done the few times that he is given that opportunity to main event, to close an episode of Raw or close an episode of SmackDown or end a pay-per-view. Unfortunately, the numbers speak for itself when he's in there. And when the numbers are up, it is because he's involved with somebody else. Maybe it has to do with John Cena. It just usually, when it's him and it's just him out there, sometimes it can kind of hurt. So I think that this is probably one of WWE's last attempts of trying to see if they can really work with CM Punk as the WWE champion. We already know Vince loves him. We know a lot of guys, they love him. He's been given nothing but great praise. You know, at the same time, yeah, John Cena, he probably has that itch. Vince McMahon probably has that itch. He wants to see John Cena with that WWE title again. Right now, it's just all about how to figure out how to get John Cena back into that dance. I mean, I don't really know what more to tell anti-John Cena fans, because you're really getting what you want. You don't see John Cena with the WWE title, but yet you feel that the main spotlight is being put on him. And to that, I can just sit up and say, you know, I said it last week, and I'll just keep on saying it. I will be walking down the street, beating that drum, blowing in that trombone. If you don't like seeing John Cena, let Vince McMahon and WWE hear it. When you see John Cena, change the channel. That's all you have to do. Even if you see John Cena in the ring with CM Punk, you have a very critical decision to make. Are you going to watch that segment? Are you going to watch that match that involves CM Punk or whoever else might be your favorite wrestler? Or are you going to sit up and say to yourself, okay, I just can't stand John Cena. I got to let my voice be heard. Let me change the channel. That's really the best thing you can do. I said it before, I said it again. They pay attention to stuff like that. So if you really want your voice to be heard loud and clear, that's one way to do it. You know, another way you can do it? Take advantage of WWE's newest exploitation and tout to the WWE that you're tired of seeing John Cena being given all these opportunities despite not having the championship belt. Honestly, I used to be exactly where you anti-John Cena fans were. I could not stand seeing this guy, and I was coming fresh off of the whole what happened to the Doctor of Thugonomics. That was the Cena I liked. And it just got to the point where I just sat up and said, you know what, I don't have to like the guy. You know, I'm not watching it for him. I'm watching it for the other guys. But, man, this whole crap about sitting up and wishing that somebody died and all this other sick crap, wishing physical harm to somebody that you don't even know, that's a little disturbing. I think if you hate John Cena that much, maybe you should stop watching wrestling altogether, because that's some really sick stuff right there anytime you're thinking about stuff like that. And as one of our people in the chat room had said, they said they would like to see CM Punk defeat The Rock. Well, buddy, if you can have it your way, you actually might end up seeing that, as I just feel that a lot can happen within 6 months. I think that would be a really fresh matchup, CM Punk versus The Rock, something we've never seen before. You know, CM Punk, he's been lobbying to have that match with Stone Cold, but now you got Stone Cold that's just coming fresh off of that surgery. I don't know. We might not even see that happen. So, yeah, maybe we could see a CM Punk versus The Rock, but then the question remains, what do you do with John Cena for WrestleMania? Do you have him maybe try to take on The Undertaker's streak? You know, brings up a very interesting question. That's really the main question you should be saying to yourself right now. How bad do you want to see CM Punk and The Rock? Because if that match were to happen, then what would that mean for WrestleMania? That's what you really got to think about, because you know John Cena's going to be at WrestleMania. You know he's going to be in one of the main events. The only question is he going to have a belt around his match? Or is he going to be given another once-in-a-lifetime legendary match like he had this past year. A lot to think about right there. This is what we're going to do right now. We're going to go on ahead and we're going to take a brief commercial break. And then when we jump right back, we'll just mention a few wrestling headlines that have popped up since last we were on the air. And we'll go on ahead and we'll open up the phone lines, get you all's general thoughts of what all has been happening since last we were on the air with you guys. So hang tight. We'll be coming right back. You're listening to the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show Wrestling Report on now August 1st, 2012. Hang tight, folks. We'll be coming right back.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the RCWR Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is an app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have two cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
We're back. You're listening to the Tuesday Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show on August 1st, 2012. August is officially here. I'm, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Hey, guys, quick question for you all. Have y'all taken the liberty of checking out the RCWR Show on YouTube? That's right, we got a YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out yet, feel free to do so, as we got a lot of great content that's on there. Only on YouTube will you be able to find my original web series called Unchained, where I go outside of wrestling and talk about things that's happening locally, not just in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, but also throughout many cities in the U.S. Take this past weekend's Unchained episode where I talked about Chris Prescott, who I had highlighted earlier in the show in our last segment, who basically had threatened his boss and coworkers because he was losing his job. Really should check that piece out, as I had a really great personal message for what all had transpired with that. And I also had a personal message to rocker Ted Nugent, who really made some very controversial comments that I just thought was really stupid. Check that out, as well as all the other content on our YouTube channel. Keywords, the RCWR Show.
A little bit of wrestling news just this past weekend. Scott Steiner, Big Bad Booty Daddy, had his 50th birthday. Happy belated birthday to Scott Steiner. Hopefully you will continue to hopefully be less cranky with age, because you've really been coming off like a very spoiled girlfriend as of late. So hopefully you sit up and you can shake that little monkey off. Of course, for those of you that have not heard, Great Khali, he recently had successfully came out of surgery as a tumor was removed from his brain, and it was a 4-hour procedure that was done, and this would not have been caught if it wasn't for the WWE Wellness Policy program that is in place right now. I mean, it's safe to say it may have literally saved Great Khali's life. Great Khali is expected to be out of action for the next 3 months. Of course, we in the U.S., a little bit of mixed emotions for the Great Khali, as we all have taken our jabs of his wrestling ability, but we know how much of an attraction he is in his home country, and he is really looked upon like a god, like the Hulk Hogan out there. No matter what you may not like about the Great Khali, I definitely think we all can be in agreement, and hey, Great Khali, have a speedy recovery. So great work by the doctors right there. Great work for that WWE Wellness program. Very unfortunate that it wasn't around and be as advanced as it is right now when Andre the Giant was still alive, as unfortunately he had died from similar complications of what Khali had, as he suffered a fatal heart attack back in '93. He was only in his late 40s, or mid-40s rather. So very unfortunate the program wasn't around back then, as who knows, maybe Andre would still be alive today, or maybe he would have lived a little bit longer. We have the latest WWE Raw ratings for this past Monday night, folks, as the ratings significantly, and I mean significantly, what a difference a week makes, as they are down, way down, as that Elvis song goes. Get this past Monday night, WWE Raw scored a 3.08 rating with 4.495 million viewers. Now, this is down by 25% from the viewers that they had last week. Now, a lot of people speculate now that this could possibly be due to the Olympics, as last week's show was pretty much hyped up since it was the 1,000th episode. Now, the first hour did a 2.8 rating with 4.64 million viewers, while the second hour did pretty well. It did a 3.2 rating with 4.719 million viewers. The rating increased slightly as it went into the third hour, while viewers, they kind of drifted off a little bit, as the final hour pulled in a 3.3 rating with 4.701 million viewers. Now, it should be noted that 1,000th episode of Raw, in case you missed it, it scored pretty big, as it did a 3.84 rating with 6.19 million viewers. So we'll, of course, have the July recap of Raw's ratings on our website just a little bit later on tonight. Just give us a little bit of time to finish uploading this episode to YouTube, and we'll definitely make that episode, we'll definitely make that list be available for you guys. If you can't stay up, it's okay. Just come back to our website at infinityoneproductions.com sometime, as you might have a lunch break or you're in between classes, what have you. It'll definitely be up and loaded by then. So that's pretty much it for what all's been going on this week. I know WWE, they recently had sat up and had to issue an apology for a video that Tensai posted on Monday night where he was utilizing Toot, and he said a little bit of racially charged comments towards Asian people. Now, the comment that he said was, as he was in character, he was Tensai, but he said something to the effect of, it's very, very dangerous to drive with a Japanese person, and then he smacked his assistant Sakimoto on the head as he drove and ordered him to open his eyes. Now, WWE, they issued an apology for the video that Tensai posted, and, hey, it is what it is right there, folks. One other thing that kind of jumped out at me here, and I've actually become a fan of his work, there is this wrestler by the name of Andre Tyson. He's going by the ring name MVK Valcabulus, and he was recently signed to a developmental deal with the WWE. This guy looks pretty phenomenal. He's got a nice physique, looks really good in the ring. Well, they signed him earlier this year, and he was awaiting to travel to Florida. Now, he was arrested in England over the weekend for following a barroom bust-up. So apparently there was some type of a scuffle that broke out at one of the booths of this bar that Tyson was in, and basically he was asked to leave, but he resisted security that was there who tried to have him leave. They tried to escort him out. Police, who were already patrolling the beat, they came in, arrested him and another guy. Now, Tyson would admit to assaulting the man following the incident, and he was given a caution. So we'll definitely stay on top of that and have more information for you as it becomes available. Let's go ahead and let's open up our wrestling fan line right now. Feel free to go on ahead, call in, quick question, quick comment, then we'll go on ahead and we'll wrap the show up because I'm actually feeling a little bit and I just want to rest up for Thursday. You can call right now at 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. Let's do it. We got about 10 minutes left. Keep it brief. Let's keep it rolling. We got a caller from the 269 area code. We definitely know who that is. That's our good pal Dave from the Michigan area. Dave, you're live on the air, my friend.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, Dave.
Great job to open the show to talk about how the whole co-host thing, and of course you would need someone in your area, about how you need to look at it by selling someone something instead of just talking about something.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to say, I think that Daniel Bryan is like in the shape of really soon getting a huge reward for getting all these guys over. Like, he's been just getting everyone over from Sheamus to CM Punk. He's doing a great job, and his comedic abilities have really grown over the years to be able to talk.
He really has. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
And I wanted to also say, I have been listening to you about the whole John Cena thing, and here's my take on that, is if CM Punk was doing his job, which I'm sure he's doing the best he can, but the WWE wouldn't be looking to put John Cena in every main event there is. If he was selling more, he's not selling no more merchandise than John Cena. He's not selling pay-per-views because Over the Limit was not that great of a sell when they were the featured guys basically in the main event. That's why they had to throw Kane and AJ in their storyline. I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fan, but CM Punk just isn't selling that well. And I can see CM Punk keeping the title by hook or crook throughout this year because, like you said, he's the featured guy on their video game. They want to use him to sell that video game. And I think even, like, to the Rumble and have him lose or something like that. With everyone crying about John Cena, it's like, you know what, just be quiet and just, if you don't like it, don't watch it, like you say. I mean, because I think John Cena, for what he's doing, he's not a great wrestler. No one ever said he was. But he's doing what he does. He's doing it well. He's not a great wrestler. His 5 moves, we all can count on our 5 fingers. But he's doing it, and he's selling. So that's what they're aiming at, really.
Yeah.
It's a great show, and no hard feelings. I know we had some little talking last night. I had a little liquid courage in me anyway last night watching Raw, so no hard feelings. Now, when you're always on Twitter and texting or whatever,
Yeah.
Like no hard feelings is that or nothing like that?
Yeah.
You guys email? Yeah, so.
Yeah, because I don't know, Dave, thank you so much for that, because I don't know what had happened, but I know Zed had hit me up, and he was like, hey, man, he was like, this co-host thing, these questions is getting out of hand, and he told me what had happened, and I was like, huh? So, yeah, I'm glad that you had appreciated that first opening segment there. I hope a lot of our listeners, I hope they appreciated that, because, yeah, it's like there's a lot that you just don't know that goes on behind the scenes, and, I can't stress it enough. A lot of hard work. It goes into putting on a good show week after week. Dave, let me quickly touch up on what you had just said, because you nailed some awesome points, as always. And, I can't stress it enough. If, you guys that don't like John Cena, like Dave said, you can just go on ahead. When you see him come on, just change the channel. Let your voices be heard. It's that powerful. And one other thing that we definitely should say is you kind of got to give John Cena a little bit of props, because whether you like him or not, when he saw that Zack Ryder was starting to become kind of popular, say what you want about how Zack Ryder is now, but when John Cena saw that Zack Ryder was starting to gain popularity, John Cena, he went to bat for him. He did everything he could to see him get that elevation. Now we're hearing that John Cena is the one responsible for really trying to make AJ go over with the crowd, that he had a part in her being elevated. And we just keep hearing these little things about John Cena trying to do what he can to try to put other people over and let them be able to seize that opportunity to shine. Now, unfortunately, what's going on with CM Punk, whether we want to admit it or not, especially you hardcore CM Punk fans, and I see we got a caller from the 276 area code. I definitely want to take your call and get your thoughts. Just give me about 90 seconds here. I think that WWE, the way that they've domesticated CM Punk ever since he re-signed with them last year, it's almost like they've sat up and said, okay, you've had your fun. Now you have to play ball with us. If you don't play ball with us, well, then you're not going to get all these little perks. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. And CM Punk has been playing ball, and I think now we as CM Punk fans, we're saying to ourselves, no, we know what Punk is really capable of. Why is CM Punk holding him back? And you can just feel that every single time you look at him. You could even feel that as you watched his latest promo last week. Just a few hours ago. You could tell that he was holding back. So really, as far as CM Punk is concerned, if he's not able to go over with this new twist in his demeanor, the only person to blame is going to be WWE, because they have not sat up and continued to run with the man that first brought them the pipe bomb moments, I feel. Let's go on ahead now, because we have the caller from 276 area code patiently waiting. We definitely appreciate you being on hold there. Let us know your name, just your first name, and where you're calling from, my friend. You're live on the air.
Yeah, my name is Alan. I'm calling from Martinsville, Virginia.
Hey, Martinsville, Virginia. All right. How you doing tonight?
Doing good. Close to Greensboro, wrestling. So definitely a big wrestling area. Just wanted to real quick talk about some of the topics that about John Cena and CM Punk as well as the previous caller was just mentioning you were touching on as well. first of all, I mean, I've been a wrestling fan since WrestleMania 3. You know, Hulk Hogan, Andre Giant, Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man. And really, if you go back to those times, I mean, think about just the highlight of the event. It was Andre and Hogan. What did Hogan do? He had 5 moves. He did not do a lot in the ring. But if you go and watch some old videotapes of some of Hogan's Japanese wrestling footage of him wrestling there, you could see that Hogan could wrestle. He knew how to wrestle. He was a good wrestler. Now, he was never, you know, on par with Steamboat or you know, Randy Savage or anything, but he was a good wrestler. The same is true with John Cena. I mean, the man's playing a character. You know, that is, it's easy for, you know, he is for a particular set of audience. You know, it's still the same formula from WrestleMania 3. Hasn't much changed, you know, from that time. Cena is used to face the WWE. He is this generation's Hogan. I have no problem with letting the kids have their, you know, their superstar, you know, or their idol. Just as when I was a small child watching Hogan slam Andre, you know, to have that feeling. That's what I wanted to see. You know, I wanted to see Hogan do the leg drop on Andre the Giant. You know, that's what it was. And I went crazy at, you know, 5, 6 years old watching Hogan do that to Andre. Mm-hmm. Same thing now with Cena. And I give Cena a lot of credit. I mean, he's been carrying the company for a while, and I agree with you 100%. That he's really tried to help build up a lot of people. You know, he's gone over sometimes when he's going over. I mean, he's not the one who says, "Hey, I want to be the main event every single night, even though I don't hold the title." That's not. He doesn't make that call. Right. He has to play a character. You know, he does his moves. What do the kids want to see? They want to see the 5-knuckle shuffle. They want to see the attitude adjustment. That's what they want to see. And if they don't see that, you know, then they're not. It's not going to be fulfilling to them. Just as when I was a child, if Hogan didn't do that leg drop, I'd have been disappointed. It would have broke my heart. Yeah. So, you know, I don't fault John Cena, man. He's been doing his thing. He busts, you know, his tail, working hard for that company. And, you know, think what you will, but he's obviously doing well, but he's not getting mega rich. You know, he's making very, very good money. Mm-hmm. But definitely tells in comparison to what your mid-level NFL superstar or baseball player or anything like that makes. Mm-hmm. You know, and he's sacrificing his body every single day. So, you know, I have a lot of respect for John Cena. I mean, you know, even as a self-confessed, you know, huge wrestling fan, I'm all about the work rate. I love watching, you know, Daniel Bryan matches. Been following him for a long time, and CM Punk as well. But I wanted to mention one thing about CM Punk. Yeah. I've been to a few pay-per-views, and one thing that always blows my mind, the very first pay-per-view I went to a couple years ago when they really started pushing CM Punk. And this is not in any way, hopefully it doesn't come off this way, coming in kind of a racist statement. Mm-hmm. When I went there, to me, CM Punk would be your he would have fans that are men between the ages of maybe 18 to, you know, 30-something or whatever, but white males. That's what I figured. That's what, in my mind, you know, your outcasts, people like that. Those are the people who come to my mind as being CM Punk fans. But every single time that I go to a live WWE event, it really shocks me to see, you know, black people in CM Punk shirts. So you can't tell me that CM Punk is not getting over. He's not selling merchandise. You know, he's not doing this and not doing that. Maybe not on the same levels as to what has been done in the past. But the thing is, wrestling is not on the same levels as it was in the past. But you know, I did not expect that to see a 30-year-old black woman wearing a CM Punk shirt. That was just astounding to me. I'm like, wow, she is a CM Punk fan. Right. You know, that was great. That was very, very shocking to me. So I just wanted to bring up those two things about Cena and CM Punk, since that's what you were just talking about.
Well, Alan, I definitely appreciate you calling into the show, and, hey, definitely, continue to follow the show. We love first-time callers. You're more than welcome to call back any chance that you get. Definitely keep in contact and spread the good word about the show. You gave some really insightful thoughts right there. We appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt. I've been following you on Twitter for a while. I hadn't had a chance to call in, so I've had a chance to actually listen to the show a little bit. Definitely caught the last 20, 30 minutes or so. Great show. I definitely plan on trying to tune in as much as possible.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much, Alan, and feel free to call back anytime, bro. Very valid points right there. We're in the overtime, by the way. It is 12:30. We were only going to do a 90-minute show. We're in overtime, and guess what? We are now in the overtime category. So you know what that means? Those of you that are listening right now, you're listening to this show right now because we're now off the air. So we can really go taboo here. We can throw every profanity out there. So spread the good word to your friends and let them know that even though the RCWR show went off the air, the show's still going. It'll definitely be uploaded in a little bit. I saw a caller from the 510 area code, and he definitely wanted to chime in his thoughts. That's our boy. He's been listening to the show now for a good minute. I know you wanted to say a little something. Go ahead and put in your thoughts, bro.
I just want to make a comment about the CM Punk thing. It always now, like, he always want, like, it seems like he wants to, he's been saying, like, he's been disrespected and, like, the spotlight, he wants the spotlight on him and everything, and he's, I know, it seems like he's copying another, like, Batista. Mm-hmm. You remember back then when Dave Batista always liked, like, when he played the role as a bad guy on his last days of WWE, he wants the spotlight.
Yeah, during his last run, yeah.
And and CM Punk is trying to, like, I guess they're best buddies, and now he's with MMA, I believe, Batista, but now it seems like with CM Punk's role, it seems like he's been really, like, off the chart. He believe, like, and him making comments about Lawler and their dispute. Well, it seems like they're just gonna keep going at it probably, but anything can happen, and that's all. Like, I mean, that's cool. I mean, and CM Punk and you never know. He might opt out in his contract and go somewhere else. Probably go with TNA or go somewhere else because it seems like he's not really, like, he's saying he's been really disrespected or something like that. I mean, what do you have to say about that, Mr. Lee?
Well, and thank you for that call, bro. We appreciate you. We know you've been listening to all the episodes. We appreciate the love right there. And, I think that's a very valid point. If it is bothering him to that extent, maybe he should sit up and take his ball and go to another company. If I were a betting man, I just don't see that happening. I think, honestly, what would probably happen, I think at this point, the only way you would get CM Punk to leave the WWE is if he genuinely just feels that he really is being disrespected by holding on to that 70-plus-year-old WWE title, and he's just being put all over the place, but where it counts the most, which is the main events, closing out the pay-per-views. It's kind of like it defeats the whole purpose of being a champion. So I can see CM Punk sitting up saying, I've had enough of this, I'm done. I just want out of my contract. I know I signed a long-term deal or whatever. I'm done. I want out. And, of course, if he backs out of that contract, and Lord only knows how many years CM Punk signed with the WWE, maybe that's a little bit of homework that we could do on our end. But last we checked, we haven't even heard how many years he's supposed to be with the WWE and for how much. We don't even know if it's a long-term deal. But if it's not a long-term deal, then, yeah, maybe CM Punk could exercise some type of right and maybe he could leave. Now, TNA, unfortunately, as much as I like what TNA has been doing as of late, TNA would not be the answer. And the reason why TNA would not be the answer, they are doing several cuts as as we speak. That's why we have seen so many TNA knockouts roll out of the company. That's why we have seen so many male TNA wrestlers leave the company, because Bruce Pritchard, who's been put in charge of slicing their budget, he's been trying to get the wrestlers to take a lesser pay cut, and depending on who he talks to, as of late, the negotiations ain't been going well. The wrestlers have been leaving. So they really don't have that much wiggle room. They would not be able to afford CM Punk. I mean, that's like, you know, Ric Flair might have did it because he was able to make up the money. But sitting up telling CM Punk to cough up 110, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, a seven-figure deal to accept a TNA deal for about, you know, barely five figures at best, CM Punk ain't going to take that deal. It would have to be out of pure love for the sport. If anything, I would see CM Punk returning to Ring of Honor and really taking it to the next level. His great insight, what he's learned about the WWE as of late, over the years that he's been there, and he's let it be known that he's been rubbing heads with John Cena, Triple H, getting a better grasp on what all is happening behind the scenes. I could see him going back to Ring of Honor first before going to TNA. I think that's a very valid question that you had brought up, though. We went into overtime by a few minutes. I think those of you that are still listening to the show right now, as our live stream is off as far as I know. So you all that are listening right now, we definitely appreciate you guys checking out the show. I think we did a pretty damn fucking good episode tonight, yeah? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this again this Thursday night, immediately after Impact Wrestling. It's going to come on at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Join us for Impact Showdown Radio. We'll get you caught up on the very latest, on everything that's transpired on the latest installment of Impact Wrestling. Also get you caught up on TNA Wrestling News. Now, for those of you that don't like TNA, we got something for you. Coming up this weekend, we're going to try to do a weekend edition of the RCWR show. We'll try to mix in entertainment news, wrestling news, do just like we did last time. It's going to be really cool this Saturday, so make sure that you check that out. But in the meantime, for you TNA fans, join us this Thursday night for Impact Showdown Radio, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Check out all our episodes, downloadable for free in the iTunes, Zune marketplaces. Keywords, the RCWR Show. That's going to do it. I think those of you that are in the chat room, mad shout out to you. Those of you that called into the show, all of you, we definitely appreciate you guys. Thank those of you that's going to be checking out tonight's show on the downloads. Let's do this again this Thursday night, folks. You all be safe and you all be kind to one another. Till I hear from y'all next time. Take care, everybody.